Welcome to MetalVice in 666. I'm one of your hosts, Brian, joined by my other host,
Karen.
and today's topic is going to be how we find new music.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and start the timer. Okay, so I used to find live music, or not live music, discover new music from just going on like Amazon when I was like really getting into it.
Okay.
And search Metallica. And then people who bought Metallica albums also bought this, and I'd get into that. And then it was talk to my friends, see what they were talking to and listening to. And Roadrunner Records became like a big place for me to find new music.
Okay.
Is I would just go to their website and see who was signed to that label, because that's where Slipknot was, Killswitch Engage. I don't know if Lamb of God was there or not at that time. I can't remember. Chimera, I think, was. Like, there were so many bands on old Roadrunner, and I would just go through like their list and like, oh, I'll check you out. Oh, I'll check you out. And so that's how I used to find out new music. The radio, to some extent, also gave me some new music, as like just listening to the radio, like here's a new band that came out.
Yeah. I would say the radio is probably one of the last ones.
Yeah, but I don't listen to the radio anymore, so I don't know that. But it's Spotify now, right? So sometimes I'll just be shuffling and new stuff will come on that I've never heard of. I don't know if you have that same sort of experience.
You mean like my past experience?
Well, yeah, like your past experience or even now. Yeah. How about you?
Well, my past experience was I listened to two bands, Disturbed and Linkin Park, and only those two bands, and I'd never explored outside of it except for whatever you would play when we were in the car or at home or whatever. But now it is a lot of Spotify. Like I like playlists a lot more than listening to like even our playlist I like listening to, but it's more listen to like metalcore playlist or deathcore playlist or something like that. And then
so you're doing like those pre-built playlists, like power metal or power like whatever genre X.
Yep. Yeah, like Metal Charge is a good one that I like. Well, I say good, but I like that one. So yeah, just like the pre-built ones that Spotify has.
Yeah, I guess I don't do that. I mean, I don't find out a whole lot from Spotify. Like I said, it happens randomly. I'll just put on Put Your Back Into the Roar or Put Your Back Into the Ore from Amon Amarth, and I'll let that play, and then whatever happens up next, I'll listen to that, and then it will just sort of cycle through things. The problem with that, and same thing with Pandora back in the day, right, is it kind of got repetitive after a little bit. Yeah. Like the algorithm kind of got weak.
Yeah, the algorithm goes off of what you've already listened to as well. So I don't think that really goes into that much music that you haven't listened to. Like it's going to bring up bands that you've searched before.
Yeah.
I feel like anyways.
And I don't necessarily have the same friend group that I used to. So like going in, high school, like, hey, did you hear of this band? Did you check this out? Here, check this out. Like I don't have that anymore that I get. At work, we have a Slack channel dedicated to metal music. And there's a couple people on there who will post weekly of like new stuff that came out. And that's a decent way to find new things, but I don't actually listen to it that often. It's the thing, right? Yeah. So I usually find myself going back to the things I know. And maybe I just need to go out like I used to in high school and just try new things. But I don't do it as much in terms of like music for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, my work is pretty much non-existent for metal music.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of, that's what I'm saying, like the friend group of like, here, try this type thing. We also found a podcast recently, Shit Talk Reviews.
Yes.
That's been a good source for new stuff because they're finding, like Sermon, I think was one they found recently that we just listened to.
Yeah, I think they posted it a few weeks ago, but yeah, like we just listened to that episode.
Right, but I mean, like that's another way for us to find new things and experience new music. Like we don't do it that often, right?
I think the other way is one night we were watching vlog for
70,000 Tons.
70,000 Tons, the cruise. And a band came out. Do you remember the band?
It's the acapella band.
Yeah.
Like it's an acapella metal band. I can't think of it now. As soon as this ends, it's gonna pop in my head.
Yeah, you could put it on the screen maybe. But so they
Von Kanta.
Yes. They came on and immediately we were like, holy shit, we need to check them out. So then we started YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, watch like a video.
I use that as a verb, but we like searched on YouTube for them, and then we just let it kind of run.
Yep.
And we just listened to different artists over and over and over, and we didn't know who a lot of these people were. And so that was really fun. And we've done that quite a few times now where we'll just put one artist on. A lot of times it's stuff we know already.
It's where we start. And I mean, that's the same thing we do on Spotify, right? Is you start with something you know, and hopefully the algorithm will take it somewhere like adjacent. You started with Amon Amarth, let's go Lamb of God. Then you go from Lamb of God to Shadows Fall, right?
Yeah.
Like you
but
kind
that's all stuff we know. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but every now and then you'll get something slipped in there. I think it's like Wild Rose, Wind Rose, or something. The Diggy Diggy Ho song. I got that I think from listening to, Amon Amarth. Like somehow that like got into the mix.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like the whole shuffle thing is great. I do enjoy that. The algorithms though are kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Because I think it goes back to what you've listened to already. So then it's like, oh, you've listened to this 10 times. Yep. So here it is again, where that's not necessarily what we want. Sometimes we just want it to play.
Yeah, and just finding other people, like we said, with Shit Talk reviews, like just talking about different music or exposing us to new bands that we hadn't known about. And then what we like to do, especially with that podcast, right, is when they bring up a band or an album, we go back and listen to that album.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we tried to do it before and then do it, but I kind of like it the reverse of like, let's hear what they say and then see if I can pick up on the same things. Because my ear's not also as tuned to it as theirs. I find the one riff I like and it's like, oh, I like that. What do you like about it? It's good.
Yeah. We're not very descriptive in.
Yeah.
I mean, people probably know that if they listen to this podcast, but.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We're so much like, they had good energy. Their songs are good.
Yeah. Every time we like talk about a live show, it's awesome set. They were awesome.
When you brought that up, I think live shows is like almost maybe the number one right now where we find.
For sure, for me. That has now become my number one way. And it's live shows had been in the past of, the headliner or the second on the bill or something like, somebody on the bill. So then you go and check it out.
Yeah.
And for the most of, I think, people who are listening, that's the way they go about it. And that's how we had done it for the longest time. Recently, though, we've been like, they're a metal band coming through town. Let's just check it out and see what it's like. If we like it, we like it.
And we go for the whole thing. We see all the openers and check out the headliner. So we don't like show up late or whatever. So
yeah, and we're at time. One last comment about the live shows. Festivals are a great way as well.
Yes.
I like festivals. I hate them. Like I have a love-hate relationship with festivals because you do bounce around a lot, so you don't get to see the whole set necessarily unless you force yourself to stay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't. Sometimes like let's go check out another stage. It doesn't necessarily give you a holistic view of what the band is because their better stuff is either going to be at the beginning or the end of the set or both.
But one good thing about festivals is bands play I don't want to say popular songs, but it's not like they're not really going into deep cuts or it's not necessarily like the new album or anything like that. It's like the stuff that's popular. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's been a great way to get like, I think the last one we went to was Rockfest. I think we saw like 30 plus bands over the course of 3 days. Yeah. 10 bands a day. That's a pretty good number. And most of those bands we didn't know going into it or had never seen live. So anyway, that's how we find new live music. It's
new
changed.
Music, not new live music.
Sorry. How we find new music. It's changed as we evolve as people. Some of it's still the same. The communication, just talking with people.
Yeah. We need to do that more, especially at concerts.
I guess. I need to get more comfortable with talking with people.
We don't really do that.
But I guess the point is go out, find music, explore.
Bye.